Hey guys, how's it going? So today actually we will be going through this app. It's called Price Buddy. So I'll be showing you how I have integrated data engineering, software engineering, mobile development, all of these things together to bring this app to you. So most importantly, I'll actually be sharing you the code so that you can actually build it yourself. I'll walk you through the code so that you understand it and you can actually be able to set it up yourself. So the app is quite involved. Essentially, I'm gonna walk you through now the functionalities of the app. Then we're gonna go through the source code and what's going on behind the scene. So what we have here is like we have this home screen, and it kind of like shows you all of these specials, and it shows you all of these latest prices and all of this stuff. Like we have like some sort of like a data model from data engineering that is modeling the data. That's why here you see these products are related to specific retailers. So what we can see is that we have this user profile. So this allows the user to log in and the user to log out. So let's say the user decides to log out, it brings them to this login screen. So on this login screen, we can see that if the user pass in a username but they don't pass the password, essentially and they click on login, there's a verification on the Flutter side that is going to validate if like the user is inserted the text on all of the input field. So in this case, they did not. That's why they get this error message telling them that they should fill all the filled input. So now let me show you the sign up part of things. So let's say on this layer you're gonna create a username. Let's say you say 12, and you create a user email and say user 12 at gmail.com. And I have to say that the backend does validate the email. So if the user pass in the incorrect email, then they will be rejected. So here I can just pass in a password and I can register. I should be taken to the home screen. As you can see, now I've registered. If I go to user, now the user is user12 at Gmail. That is because of that data has been stored on MongoDB. The password has been encrypted and the password is not returned because it's very, very sensitive. So all the best practices have been followed, and I did not use any auth libraries. Everything has been built from scratch using JWT to validate and send tokens, all of that stuff. And I'll show you how we work with tokens on the Flutter side. So it's quite interesting also that portion. So we can actually go to categories. So these are the categories. Some of you guys might not be familiar with these products, especially if you're not from the country that I'm currently in. So, but yeah, these are the products that we have. If you click on Colgate, it's gonna show you all these Colgate prices, and you can now compare all of these Colgate from different retailers, which is pretty cool. And you can go back if you want to click on the specific product to get like. I was actually tired. You can see how ugly this page is. Yeah, that's why I didn't put any too much effort. But yeah, this is like the product information. So I think it's just like the goal, guys. I want to be honest with you, is to kind of like build an open source project that you guys can actually use, and you can actually adapt this project to different applications that you want to build. So let's say you have an idea about building an app or something like that, you can actually reuse this. Secondly, because of this YouTube channel is more oriented towards helping you guys getting a job, I feel like this project is also good if you're applying for a job, and you can actually be able to show that this is what I've done. You just need to go through the source code and maybe add features that you think you're gonna like. That will be cool. For example, you can add a feature to add the product to a card. Let's say someone want to compare specific products, and they wanna, as they scroll through, they wanna compare those prices, those products. Then you can add them to a cart. So it's just that's another functionality that you can add, right? So but the main goal here is to kind of like walk you through some of the best practices, walk you through how I've kind of like went about this, and it's going to be quite interesting as we start from data engineering. We look at how we collect the data, we look at how we kind of like batch process the data, all of that stuff, because all of this data has to come from somewhere, and it's coming from the internet. And now we have to like do all of these complex data processing and data collection to get it. And we're going to show you also the Node.js backend, There's quite a lot of things that went into building that backend. So I'm going to show you all of that. So let's get into it without wasting any time. So we have data engineering on this plane. We have the Flutter on the middle. Then we have the backend with Node.js. So we're gonna start with the Python code. So this is like the Python code that is doing the data engineering for all of us. So just to kind of like brief you at the high level what's going on here. So the goal is to scrape like the biggest retail, right, and collect this data that we can actually be able to show, right? And we can see that we have to do this on a schedule, right? So we have this, I think data engineering is knowing this, like there's orchestration. So they schedule their data processing layers, right? So in this case, we're using Prefect, which I'll get into. So it's kind of like, let's say every 30 minutes, go and check if the process have changed. And otherwise, if they have, then just come back and bring the new data and we're going to update our database with the new data. So if we want to get new products, we want to add new categories, like let's say we have like categories inside here, then we can add this. Then data engineering is going to collect and batch process and batch collect that data for us. So that's what it is to this, right? And it has to kind of like talk with the backend at some point because of now it has to write the data into the database. And I have to say that most of the time, data engineering is it's more like Spark, relational database. But in this case, because of I'm working with like unstructured data, like the data that we're collecting, we don't know if like you're gonna get the price. It's data over the internet. So I prefer to use MongoDB. Like to go easy on the what is it, the data modeling side of things. I don't know if you guys think that's a good idea, but that's how I kind of like thought about it. So where am I going to start you? So we have this categories. So we have these. I'm gonna start from, so okay, I'm gonna start with this file, then we're gonna go to the stores. That's fine. So we have these categories right here. So you can think of here as like I'm trying to get all the categories that I'm interested in. So the reason I'm doing this way is because like to scrape data, we don't want all the products. Like there's millions of product on the website. Like these are biggest retail companies, and if you're gonna extract all the products, like for instance, then what's gonna happen is that your app is gonna be having these products that people are not interested in. So what I did was to actually go to each website and look at what are the most frequently brought products, and they fall under which categories, and that's what I did. It's like I just took those categories. So now the reason I did this is because now the app is going to become much more, what can I say, much more interesting because of these are the product that people need and these are the product that people buy, right? Then we have this image uploader, which is actually gonna upload the image because of when we collect the data, we essentially have to collect the image. So I would just want you to understand very clearly here. So what's going to happen is that you want to link this product that you extracted on the database with the image that you're going to store on like a different database. Remember that you can't store the image on like MongoDB, or you can, maybe as some people they can convert that into, I think, 64 something, but maybe you can. But the point is that images are stored on something like S3. Images are stored on something like Azure or Microsoft Blob. So in this case, you can see that I'm using Cloudinary. So it's still the same concept with S3. So we store these files like images, videos. That's still fine. So what we're gonna do is that Cloudinary is gonna give us what we call a URL, right? And we're gonna use that URL to store that in our database in a MongoDB. So this way, we get to link the product within our database with the URL. So that's why you see on the app, when we retrieve a product, we get like its associated image. So this way, I think it's one of the also one of the concept that is well known, like doing it this way. So that's what this code does. So if you're gonna go through the I don't know if you're gonna go through this code, but if you do, it's gonna be on the GitHub. Just know that you just need to change all of these secrets within the environment. I will show you like this thing here. I'm not gonna open it because of that's where my files are, but I don't think this is also the best practice. What you can do, like don't store your keys. Also, even on the files, what you can do is that you can use Microsoft Key Vault, and you can access all the keys from there. The thing is, I haven't used Microsoft and AWS and Google Cloud because I finished all my free credit. I'm a very free guy, so I don't have free trials anymore. So they are all gone. So now I have to kind of like come up with workarounds. But the point is that I'll actually try to kind of like write all of these the best practices that I missed. But yeah, just know that actually here you can. But even this is still not bad because the environment variable is not like you're gonna deploy it on GitHub or on your stuff. But that's something that you should take into consideration. We went through this category. So these are the categories that we want, and we have this API request. So this API request, you can think of it as like it's going to batch write the data to the MongoDB. So what's gonna do is that we have this. We use the API. So the reason I'm using an API this way is because of on the API, you will see on the backend, I have what we call insert many. So this is allows me to take a list of these documents and like store them inside our database. So this is how I think this is like how I do it. So some of you guys might say, yeah, but why didn't you just use MongoDB with Python? Just like you don't have to create an API. That's one way you could have went about it. But just to keep things more secure, as you can see that even when the data engineers have to write to the database, they still need to be, what is it? They still need to be, they still need to be a connection, meaning that they have to be I don't know what's the word. I forget the word. I don't know. Should I say creditor? I don't know. But anyway, that's why I forget the word. I can't believe it. But anyway, that's why. Then we have add products. So let's say you want to add one category, you can use this API cost, right? So let me take a pause here. So some of you guys, if you're seeing this thing for your first time, I want to apologize to say that I think the videos that I create are not beginner friendly, to be honest. They are more like I try to kind of like give you guys projects and you guys can work through it. But that doesn't mean if you're a beginner, you shouldn't go through this. Let me give you a bit of advice. um, when you don't understand something, try by all means to put yourself in the deep end, meaning that try to understand it. If let's say you don't know what this does, you're not a Python user, what is this function? Go and watch a tutorial, come back and try to understand it again. Oh, I don't know, I've never seen something like this. That's when you get to learn. And I believe that having the ability to learn is going to be a very, very crucial skill. So just be able to learn, and that's what you should do. And all the time, that's what I think is gonna set you apart from most of the stuff. But anyway, that's like the API's request. So we're gonna see how we use this, but they're gonna be quite important, especially when we get to the scripting part. So we're gonna script the data and load it in our DB. Then we have this add categories. So that's like okay, this is like I haven't covered this. So yeah, this is like the add categories. So what you want to do in this case is that we want to loop all the files, right? This is the image files. Where is it coming from? It's coming from categories. Yes. So this is like all the image files within this image folder. So this is because of categories are how can I put it? They are not constant, but they are we define how many categories we want. So it's not something that I think we should go hard on ourselves. Talking about dynamic, we're gonna get to dynamic stuff, but I don't think categories should be dynamic because they you want specific number of categories. So that's why I'm okay here um, doing it like this because obviously different remember that we're working with unstructured data and we're trying to collect data from different retailers. They all have different categories. So if you try to do it dynamically, you're going to have inconsistency issues. So what you want to do in this case is that okay, I'm going to define my own categories and I'm going to have these images, right? So I just want to just want to mention that, but I will show you when we get to the dynamic stuff where we do such things smart way. Anyway, we look through all the images within this image folder. So this is like the images of the categories, right? And what we try to do is that we try by all means to split I think this is, where is this image file? Yes, I think, actually, let me show you where this image file coming from. This is it here. So I'm saying that os.join image file. So get all the images within this image file. So it's gonna get each and every image there, regardless of the extension. So now we're gonna loop through. Where is this? Where was I? Okay, we were here, right? So we just gonna take the file. So this is gonna be the file name, right? Then we're gonna check if the file name is in the categories. Makes sense because you want to be consistent with your image name and your category name, so that when you write to Cloudinary, you have a consistent public key. As you saw that this I wrote here all constant because of this. If I say file name in category, because I'm using a set, so when we check inside a set, it's going to be a constant lookup. So that's why here in the category I'm using this rounded things. If you don't know them, I'm calling them rounded, but it's a set, but that's fine. Then we have I just want to show you where we were. Yeah, there's it. So we're gonna get the URLs options. That's fine. Then we're just doing some validations if like there's no public key. So this is like an error. If you're gonna run this code, you're gonna see that this is a very, very painful error also, because of sometimes when you pass a file name, Cloudinary is gonna reject this file name because of it's gonna say it's not a valid file name. I don't know why it does this, but yeah, it's something that it does. Uh, I try to kind of like change the name and try to remove all of these funny characters or anything like that, but still doesn't work. I think they're using, I don't know. I just, but I'll look into that. It's just funny that I couldn't figure it out. The reason I didn't figure it out is because of some of the files name or some of the product name, they look the same with like, they look the same. And I didn't understand why would one get rejected and one get through, and it just didn't make sense. But anyway, that's definitely, unless it maybe the file's name. But I did strip them. We will get into that, but it's fine. But I don't think I got problem with the categories. I think it was the product name, because the product names, those are the ones that we do them dynamically. So you can get the file name or the product name from the website that is not accurately being formatted, but that's fine. We have all of this. This is just to say, okay, if there is no public key, we're just gonna skip that category. In this case, we did not skip categories because categories, we write the names ourselves, so we will never make a mistake. So here we just append. So this is gonna append to Cloudinary. So just to kind of like show you, where is that guy? So this is like this guy here. So you see that it kind of like appends these products. Actually, here it's products, but we have our category. So you see how many they are. That's like the power of data engineering. It bench process all of the stuff, and you can see there's so many stuff inside here. So, but anyway, that's like Cloudinary. That's where the products that I'm showing you, they're gonna come to. So what you're gonna do is that you're gonna go to Cloudinary, you're gonna create an account. It's free. Like I said, I'm a very cheap guy. I like free stuff. Unless if I'm going to production, then I'll definitely support Cloudinary. I feel like they're helping us, so I'll definitely support them, including MongoDB, obviously. But anyway, the point the point here is that reloading the stuff inside here, then yeah, we can get them, right? Let me show you. Actually, this is quite interesting. I want you guys to see this. So you can click on here. um, you get the image. Look at that. So now you have this URL that you can just use. It's quite interesting. So now the goal is that when we get this URL, we just need to store it in MongoDB. Then when the user click on that URL, we're gonna show them this. Quite interesting, right? It's very, very, and these stuff are so easy. Like, trust me, they're so easy. You can think, oh, this is hard. It's so easy. Um, I feel like when you get the philosophy, you'll understand. It's not that hard, um, as people might think. But anyway, that's what this will do. It's just gonna store that. I just put this sleep for 5 seconds. That is because of I'm using Cloudinary. You can remove this. Cloudinary is gonna handle it. But because of I'm using, I don't want to go hard on Cloudinary, and it's a free service. So I just wanna try to write like many products. So they are being very very nice. Like I don't think like you can get free 1 gig like that. So and it's very very working well. It's writing data very very fast. So that's why I have a slip here to say don't go hard as you upload. But that's what I did. Anyway, I haven't showed you this function though, which is get category image file. Where is it coming from? So it's coming. Oh, okay, I did. Okay, we did. Okay, through that. Okay, we did. So this is like the cloudinary function. So this the one that is going to return. Okay, that's fine. We did look into that. What do we have? We have this, which is going to be add categories batch, right? So sometimes, like I said, you just want to add one category. So we're just going to use an endpoint to add one category. Otherwise, we're going to use an endpoint to add like batch process. That's the one that we're going to use. So that's fine. Uh, so what we're gonna do now? We done with this. I want to say that I made a lot of mistake before this is quite embarrassing, but I have to be honest with you, which is that I did not do a lot of stuff correctly. Not a lot of stuff. What am I saying? I'm saying that actually, you know what? You see here, these files here, add categories, they were supposed to be in the main root files because when we extract the store data, like some of the functionalities are the same, right? So, like they are literally the same. Like you see here, batch write store, you could have just called it batch write. Then you just pass in category endpoint, or you just pass in the store. So don't go hard on me, guys. But it's not like a bad thing. It's not like a huge bad thing. It's just like something that I think a lot of people who like want a very very perfect structure, they might go hard on me. But the point here that I'm making is that you see these files here, because we're using the same function, it's just different parameters slightly. So you wanna like have a file that is going to be on the main root, then you just import it under these folders, like like you just import it, then you have one uh, unique thing that you can do. But I think it is because of trial and error, that's why I did it this way. But anyway, that's something that I think because of this is going to be an open source project, I'll change it and I'll just commit the changes and that'll be fine. But it's not like something like huge or something bad like that. So it's just that uh, we follow best practices in coding, that we shouldn't repeat the code. You see, like the same code here has been written in the category, so this is not good. But yeah, just bear with me. Sorry about that. But anyway, this is the same logic that we did in the categories. So you see here we have all the stores. For example, this is the stores that I'm extracting for. In your case, you can, if you're in a different country, you want to do it for your country, then you can extract all the biggest retailers in your country, just pass them here. That's fine. Then you get the logo and you just get the logos. Then this code will just run like a champ. You just like have to run it the way it is. But yeah, that's like how it works. Then we have these category store ID. So now this is where these things are starting to get interesting, because now on our MongoDB we want to link. Essentially, we want to make sure that when we get a, a product, we want that product to be linked to a specific category. We want that product to be linked to a specific store. So what we do is that we have these functions that are going to get an ID using those APIs that we just went through now. It's gonna get all of this ID, and it's gonna, when we process a product, when we get a product, essentially we're gonna give it that ID also, that okay, you are related to this category, and we're gonna do this dynamically. That's pretty cool. I think we have this image uploader. Yeah, you see, this is how I think it's supposed to be done. You see, like this file is on the main root. Then now you can actually import this if you want to use it like within these folders here. So the reason I did this way, guys, it's because of like it was a little bit of trial and error. When you're trying something and you just wanna get things making it smooth as possible, and you just want to make sure that the code runs perfectly. So that's what I think you can trying. It does work sometimes. I feel like sometimes bad practices can also work against us, especially if you're trying something because you don't know what made some that thing to fail. You know how programming can get, but that's the point. I'm trying to justify my wrongdoing here. But anyway, that's fine. We have this file. This is like the core. This is like the main guide. This is like the core of the project. Not the core of the project, but the core of like data collection stuff. So we can see that we gonna get Woolworths data. So this is based on trial and error also because essentially you need to go to Woolworths website. Then when you get to Woolworths, you just need to know where the products are, like within which CSS div, like or whatever the HTML element is. So you just need to go to the site. I'll show you how to do that, but I'll show you now. But that's what we do. I'm using Selenium here, which is, as you can see, because of this Woolworths website, essentially load the data using JavaScript. So if you're gonna use Beautiful Soup, it's not gonna work because of you have to wait for the JavaScript to render, then you kind of like collect it after. So that's why you have to use like this Selenium, which is can be quite not nice to work with. Beautiful Soup is like it's like perfect. That's what I like also, but it's definitely fine. Yeah, we just like get all of these products list here. They're still not clean, so I have to clean them. And this data here, Woolworths data processing, it's just gonna clean it for me, right? It's just gonna process the data for me, and it's gonna do all of that work for me. So it's gonna be cool to see that, right? I'm gonna run this. I would just want you to show you how it works. So let's just actually let's run it. You know what? Because of I'm just gonna switch off these functions because these ones are gonna take maybe few minutes, because we have to batch right. So you can imagine that we have to go through the whole entire page of the site and get all of the products. It's gonna be quite intense, but yeah, let's do this. I just wanna show you. Should I show you with Woolworths? I was supposed to show you with uh, with something simple. I don't know why, but it's fine. It doesn't matter. Let's just do it. We're gonna pass in Colgate. I'm so obsessed with Colgate. I don't know why. So we're gonna pass in Colgate. If you were here, you're gonna give me maybe a specific a specific name that I should search. But anyway, the Colgate is like you can think of this as like researching on the website that oh I want Colgate. I want all the product that are Colgate stuff. So that's what we're gonna do, and you're gonna see that we get all the product list. So I'm gonna print everything because I want you to see. I feel like we learn a lot by actually being able to see what's going on, right? That's pretty cool. Um, I'm just gonna print this. So I just want you to see honestly what's going on. I think that's pretty fine. So we pass in this. I'm gonna print the product list. I'm gonna put a break statement because I don't want to print everything. Because it will go through all the site and go through all the page, the first page, and get all the products. So I don't want that. So what I want to do is that within this for loop, this one, I'm gonna have a break statement. Say, you know what? I just want to break. It's fine. Then we have this. We print in all of those. That's pretty cool. So I'm just gonna say Python scraping. So let me just open this for you guys to see. So it's gonna be Python scraping the py. Oh, I can't type today. So let's run this. So this guys essentially has. Oh, did I save? I forgot if I did save. But anyway, we can see that it's actually going to the site and it's gonna try to get us all of those products, and that's what it's gonna do. We should be getting a list of products here, but you will see in the second. It's still running. This is Selenium. It's Beautiful Soup doesn't do this, but you see, this is what we get. Look at that. Colgate, maximum capacity, uh, what is it? Cafficity. I can't read this stuff. But anyway, this is what we get. And we getting all of this stuff. And we can see that we're getting all of this Colgate and the price. We're getting the image. Look at that. So you see, this is like the processing power of this. So that's what this code here does for us. The reason here it said it couldn't upload just because of I have shut down my server, so that's why yeah, it couldn't upload because I didn't want to upload because I've already uploaded these. So that's that. That's pretty cool, right? So as you can see that this is based on trial and error. I'll show you how you go to a website and you kind of like extract these, what is it, these elements. I know these, if you have never seen this might seem scary and you might be, oh, how do I know that? So I'll show you in a second. So this is a second, this is another the retail. Then we go through the site, we pass that, and yeah. So you can see here, like this is for educational purpose. That's why like I have this stop. So I don't hit their server that much, meaning that like I don't just like scrape not responsibly. So I stop like after like specific time. Like I just get one and I stop for specific time. This is mainly because of like if you hit the server you can take down the site. So I'll say like if you're gonna run this code, be responsible, have these weights and sleep time so that you don't hit the site very much. Like it's just for an educational purpose. So I'll say like be responsible. These stuff like web scraping can take a website down because of you hitting the server, and that will not be cool. So, so you can see here we have get Sopra data, we're getting the data, and here we're using beautiful soup, not Selenium, because of ShopRite load the data. I think they're using server side, so the data is getting rendered. If you search, it's going to be rendered just like that. So that's pretty cool. So I'll show you how you kind of like go through this, but also this is all about trial and error. I don't think like if I teach you, I can explain to you this, but if you're gonna use this for a specific use case, these things will change, and you might not even be like this, like right. So that's why I like prefer to kind of like show you from the side itself, like how you want the specific element, you're just gonna get it or something like that. And when you say find all, you're just saying that I want all the div, and you just need to clean it and find that specific text. That's what, and this is for Pick and Pay. You know what? I think let me show you now. I think that will make sense. Um, Let me just go to here, Pick and Pay. So let's say you're here, right? You kind of like here. You're like, oh, I want this rice and this price. So you can click on it and you say inspect. So you're like, oh, this thing actually it's on this thing called item name, but I don't need one. I need all of them. So they must be under a specific thing. You're like, okay, let me just look that and let me click. Okay, they are not here. Okay, they are not here. Then you're like, okay, are they here? You're like, okay, no, they are not. They must be under here. Nope, they are not. So where are they? Okay, you're like, okay, this is not. So okay, you're like, okay, these are all the products, but I want all of them. So they're here. Oh yes, they're inside here. So now you know that oh, this class will essentially be the guy that I'm supposed to hit. So this you're gonna copy this class and you go back to the code. Then now you're gonna try to you go back to the code. You're like, okay, cool. This class here, please find me all. And you paste that thing here. It's gonna find you all those products. Then now you just need to extract like the specific text. You see, like the reason I can't like say this is the best way, this is the only way to do it is because of you're gonna go to different side. You're gonna face different. They're using a different class name, right? And you have to adapt it, like right. So that's the thing. But anyway, we have spam. We have spa data, same thing. You can see the code is not the same, so I have to do it this way. I know some of you guys like best practices and you don't mistake with best practices, but trust me, the thing I had to do it this way is because you can tell it's not like the code is the same. Nope, it's because you can tell like here, even if you find a specific thing, the structure of the site might not be the same for the structure of this, and it might change. So if you're gonna try to create one function, then how would you handle like selenium and stuff like that? So I think this way was better to write the code this way, right? So I know that best practices are always prioritized. People can go hard on you on that one. But anyway, that's fine. Then this is like we're gonna search for all the categories. You see, this is all the categories that I showed you. So I'm gonna say please take a category and go and extract all the product within that category from this side. And I'm not going hard on the side. I have like a lot of like stoppage. I want to justify this because of like I'm saying, guys, like a program can run so fast that it can take that server down. So it's very important to have these stop time. Then this is the pick and pay, and this is like release. This is spa. So that's it. That's it to it. Now we're gonna get into the backend code. Before we get into the backend code, I want to say that on the data engineering side, we had an ARD. So you can think of this as like the data modeling diagram that is going to show how these entities are related. So we had products, specials, users, categories. So these stuff are related. So I'm gonna share you the diagram, and it's gonna be on my GitHub, so that you kind of like see how I've designed it. So it's quite important to understand this because of it kind of like helps you and how you design your application. You can know that, okay, if I'm gonna retrieve this product, this other information that I'm gonna need from these other tables. In MongoDB we work with collections and documents, but yeah, that's the point, right? But but anyway, we have this backend code. Before we get into the backend, let me show you what this backend code does. So we have these products. So the backend code, essentially, it creates all of these. What is this? It creates all of these APIs. So let's say now I want all the products, and it creates all of these pagination, search, all of this stuff. I'm going to show you all of that. But let's say now you want a product and you click on send. You see we're getting these products, right? And now if we don't pass like the correct URI, it's going to complain. Going to say no. This is the, let me just show you here. This is the response. Actually, this is like a get. So just ignore this document right here because this is just we getting the product. So you can see we getting this. So now if I pass it, what is it? Get products. You see, it gets me all of the products. These are the products that data engineering has extracted and ingested. You get all of these products like Colgate, the price, ratings, all of that stuff, and the images. And the images are not coming from the website; they're coming from you, Cloudinary. So they're using our URI because we stored them in our database, which is Cloudinary. So you can think of this as S3, Azure, BloB, or something like that, right? It's quite interesting. So we have get single product. So you can get a single product. So this is the API that is going to get one only product. So we pass an ID here, then it's going to get that. We can actually update a product. When I change a product price, that's what you can do. You can delete the product. That's what you can do. You can create products. You can create as many products as you want, right? This is what this API does, and this is under the product. Then if we go to the user, you know, um, we have these users. The user can register, like this is the password, this is the name, this is the email. And because of I've registered this user, the backend is going to tell me that no, you have registered this user. So if I click on send, you see that success is false because of the user already exists. The backend does all of these validation for us. So this is quite cool. You can log in again. You can send the user here. This password here, I made a mistake. Best practices again. This password is supposed to not be returned, but it's not necessarily a password like this. You see, it's been encrypted, so but it's not supposed to be returned like this. So I'm gonna not selected. I'll show you how to do it in MongoDB. But I thought I did, unless if I was testing something. But yeah, another best practices minus 1 point. That's the mistake that I did. Sorry about that, guys. But I'll show you how to. It's just a simple dot minus select. But yeah, you're not supposed to return a password, right? And you see that this password that the user passed is different because we encrypt it when we store it in our database so that if our database get hacked, they won't get an actual password of the user. That's pretty cool. So that's fine. Then we have forgot password. This is quite interesting, guys, because now the user can say that I have forgotten my password, and now the user can change their password. And this is one thing that I wanted to show you. Where is it? I think it's a reset password. This one is quite interesting because the user can actually reset their password on their site. So we're gonna send the user an email. So we're gonna say, okay, cool. This is the link. that you can cheat to change your password. So we're doing that. All of the stuff are done on the code, and I will show you that. And not libraries being used. We're gonna show you all of the stuff, right? But that's the backend. It's gonna do all of the stuff for us. Then we have categories. This is like the same thing. This is like the easy part because of now. If you understand this, then these are like walk through, like because it's just get, creates. It kind of like gets repetitive as you go on. But yeah, that's like the interesting part. So now let's get into the backend. So now I think you have an idea of like what the backend is, like what it handles, what it does, and what it's going to do. So you have an idea. Okay, this thing is going. And by the way, I want to say that if you go to I didn't cover this. I want to cover it. So if you go to create, and you can see that you have to be logged in as a user. So if I say create, I'm gonna get false. Why? Because it's gonna tell me role admin does not have access to the resource. So you have to have the right authorization. You have to make sure that you're logged in to create products. So there are certain routes that you can't hit because you have to be authorized. So all of that is handled on the back end side of things. So I'm going to show you all of that. It's quite interesting, right? um, so yeah, so let's get into the backend. So where's the code? There is it right here. So we're gonna end up with the Flavor because that's like the front end stuff of things. So how I'm gonna do this is that I'm gonna walk you through like the main approach. Then the rest I feel like they are pretty much extendable in a way. Um, and because of this is going to be an open source project, I'm going to list all the things that I'm going to improve and I'm going to add and all of the stuff. So we have the product. We have the product, right? Which is we have the product controller, which is the logic. Then we have these middleware to catch the errors. Like how we return the errors. Then we have these models. So you can think of this as like our schema, so to speak. Okay, we're gonna take the name. Then we have these routes. So these routes, you can think of it as like when the user hit this endpoint, they go to that endpoint. Then we have these utilities and stuff like that. And that's what this is all about here. So what's going on here? That's your question right now. So we're gonna start with the model where the data starts. So I want you to kind of like, if you don't understand this, the best thing that you can do is to understand my folder structure for now, and just focus on how I navigate to these folder structure, because that way you will see how everything kind of like correlates. So I'm gonna close this because I think they might be confusing for you guys. I'm gonna close the controller. I'm gonna close the middlewares. So I'm gonna close the model for now. So we have this server. We have this app TS. So this is like where we start because this is where we kind of what is this? We kind of initiate our server, right? So this is where we say app listen, and we have this part. So we have this part saved on our environment variables because it's supposed to be a security thing. That's why it's there. And we after we do that, we before we connect to the server, we need to connect to the database. And that's why we call this. And then we have this app.ts, which is going to be our routes. So this is where we import our routes, and we we use all these middlewares and app express JSON, and we use these cookie hasa because of we're gonna be storing the cookies of the JWTs, the tokens of the JWTs inside the cookies. Um, so yeah, and we have all of this stuff. But the point that I'm raising here is that you're gonna import your route from the route folder. Then you're gonna say app.use just to say app should use all of these routes that you've defined, and all the routes will start with this. Then they should end with whatever you define in the route, like maybe let's say it's products, what. So that's fine. Then we use the middlewares. Also, this is for error handling. We're gonna get into that. But yeah, server, initialize the server, this, register your routes, middleware, JSON, and all of this stuff. That's pretty fine. For now, because you understand these two files, we're gonna go into the model. So this is where we start, right? So we have I'm gonna choose products in this case and users. And the rest is just like the repetitive. Honestly, you'll see that it's just becoming the same thing. So we have these. This is MongoDB, by the way. So this is how I create the schema. I have names, price, and I have these. You see, these are the things that I get sent. You still remember when on the app, if like you press in an incorrect password or a password that is less than five, you're gonna get these errors, and we're gonna send you to the user. These are the errors that the user sent. We have these images that we store within because this is the product. So we have these categories and we make sure that the category should be within this. Otherwise, no, we reject it. So this makes sure that at least we try by all means to have a, in our database, the data should be at least clean, meaning that something that does not relate to something else is going to be rejected. So this way we try to be as consistent, obviously like these NoSQL database are not consistent compared to something relational database like MySQL, but you can try to kind of like do things to not get consistency. You'll never get consistency, but that's how it works. Like this is how the database has been designed, unless if you can get consistency using these are relational data, but these are trade-off. I think check out my system design videos. That's where we get into these stuff. Anyway, we have the stocks, number of reviews. As you can see, guys, this is like pretty much the data, the data models. I go to the users. I think this is going to be interesting because I just want to show you all of these functions. So we have these user models, but what I want to show you is this. So this is where things start to get interesting. So you can see that every time before we save, if the password is not modified, what we want to do is that we want to encrypt that. So that's what we're going to do. And we going to, yeah, we going to, this function is going to be reused a lot because every time the user tries to give us a password, they want to change a password, they want to compare their old password with the current existing password so that we can make sure that actually the password that they know is the one that is inside the database. So we're gonna do that. And we also have this get JWT. I think this is gonna be used especially when we log in. We have to retrieve, we have to give the user the token. So the token, the JWT token, just to give you a better context, let's say you log in, the user now can actually reuse that across all the other what is it, the other URI, the routes. So they just need to, we're gonna get that token and validate the user and say, okay, fine, you can get the resources. All the time they're gonna give us that token. So they don't have to log in. We just use that token that is stored. And the good thing is that here this code works across because the DWT, you can start it if you're building a website, you can start it on the cookies. And if you're using a mobile app, just like we're doing, Flutter essentially allows you to store the token within this user storage device and it's being encrypted also there. So that's another thing that we're gonna look into. So this WW2, you can make it to be as diverse as possible. Oh yeah, that's that. Then we have the reset password token. So yeah, this essentially is to reset the password. So we're gonna have to generate a token that is going to have expiry time. So let's say when you log into the website and you click on reset password or something like that. So we have to send the token for the user to reset that. We I think some of the stuff for you to better understand them, I think you're gonna have to go into the controllers. That's where the logic is. But yeah, that's that. I'm just gonna go straight to the product controllers, and this is it here. This is it. So this is just the simple thing that we do, which is that we try to create a new product. When we create a new product, we want to link that product to a specific user. So we're gonna request this user. Uh, we're gonna say the user request user.id because of the user have logged in. So what's going to happen? Let me just explain this. I think this is quite crucial for you to understand. Is that we have this? I'm gonna paste this JW token. And I'm gonna paste this. Where's the mailers? Oh, that thing. Yeah, it's this. Yeah, this is where the stuff start to get interesting. So you can see that every time when you try to hit a URL, we're gonna get the token from you. Yes, when you hit the URL, we're gonna get the token. And when we get the token, we create this object. We say request.user equals to this. This is gonna store all your information, right? So this is gonna store like the username, user, all of that is going to be stored inside here. And now when you, the user, try to access like specific resources, or try to create new resources, we get that user from that object. So this object get created when you log in, because we request that we request the token from the cookies. So that's what we're gonna do. And now we create all of what you want to create, what you have passed in the input field. And we can create as many as we want. You can create as many products as you want inside array. Then this is where the kind of like the interesting part gets in. Um, we have this function whereby we can search. You know, you can search through the product. Let's say you wanna get a specific product, you can filter. You can we have a pagination like you saw on the app. We can only get specific number of products. So pagination allows us that we don't send like 1 million of our product to the app. That will be catastrophic. So we kind of like say, okay, you know what, we're gonna send six. If the user scroll down, we kind of like, okay, get another six. But the logic behind like or the algorithm behind the the pagination, if I go here, just to explain it to you, is that essentially we have this results per page, which is six, right? So what's going to happen is that we try to skip this first. We're gonna skip, right? Let's say we have six, for instance, right? Let me explain it this way. Let's say the first thing that we have is six, right? Then the user goes to the next page. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna increment that. So it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be two, right? So now this is gonna give us 12. So we're gonna get the next 12 results, but not necessarily the next 12, but we're gonna minus this by six, which is the first six. So to speak, then we get six. So what's going on here? So we can think of it this way. We have like roads like so. I'm just gonna make it this way because I think like I want you to understand this. It's quite interesting. So you can think of it this way. This is the first six that you're gonna get, right? Then we're gonna have a parameter to skip the. When you go to the next page, we're gonna skip this. We're gonna skip this, and we're gonna give you this, right? So we just keep on doing that. You just keep on doing that. Like then say then you continue, you get another six, then we skip this, then we get you another six. That's how it works. Essentially. That's what this code does. So as you can see here, we're gonna request from the parameters. So this is the page that you currently clicked on, right? So by default, this is gonna be one. So if the page currently clicked on, subtract that by one, we multiply by this. So if like you can imagine that you're on the second page, we're gonna subtract that by one, then we multiply this, and it's gonna be six. Then we say, okay, cool. So we can skip this while we limit the results. No, we'll limit the results to six. So you can think of like we have all the products. We have all the products in the database, but we want to limit them to six. But like I said, the algorithm works by also skipping. When you go to the next page, we skip. So I hope I hope that makes sense. Maybe that wasn't like the best explanation, but that's kind of how I hope I did clarify it though. But yeah, that's how it works. And we have also the search and filter uh, functionalities that are here. So the search essentially, if the user passing the keyword, then what we're gonna do is that we're gonna make sure that this is like not case sensitive. Then we're gonna search all the products in our database that are based on that search query. So yeah, similarly, this is the filter. This is just to filter based on whatever the key is. So that's all there is to this. So let me just show you the functionality of this. I think if I go to just for you to have a more better understanding. So if I say here keyword equals to we're in the product, right? I'm just gonna say Colgate. So I'm just gonna say this. So you can see that I'm getting all the Colgate. Let me say Albani because Colgate was there. Albani. You see, I'm getting all the Albani bread. So that's what it works, and that's how it kind of like gets me all of this stuff. And by default, you see that I get like 6 products. That's the default. That's the default. That's what we specified here. So we will never return as many more than the required products. That's what pagination does here. It's gonna make sure that by default it's gonna be that number that we specified. But yeah, that's what this does. And uh, okay, I did not want to do that. But yeah, that's what does that. Let's just go back to the to the controllers. So when we get the products, we're just going to return them just like we saw now. Then we have these get single products. Essentially here we can think of like if the user get like a specific ID, we're going to find that product, then we're going to return that product. For instance, here I'm going to copy this ID of this product, right? And you're going to go to get a single product, and you just pass it here and on the URI, and you just click send. You will see that we get that Albani bread. So this is what this does here. So essentially we call this mango. This is product, by the way, is coming from the models. So the thing is, I don't know how familiar you are with this stuff, so I'm just gonna not assume that you know them. So I'm just gonna explain in a more thorough way. So we get this product from this mango thing here. Let me just do that. So we can see that we export this product here. So Mongo's model. So we can now call this, it's like we're calling this database table rather to think of it. Then you can say find this ID. That's it. That's what we're doing here. Okay. And it's going to find out if there is no products, like for example, it says it's going to say product not found. If like, for instance, you pass in layer like 1, it's going to send product not found. You see false. We get these errors are not nice and we can't send them to the user. So that's because of we're in development mode. But if we switch to production, so I have this as you guys will see here. I think where is it, you have this production mode here. So all of these errors, I've handled them in such a way that if you're in production mode, it does not send that ugly error or something. It sends like a beautiful message. Yeah, these are like update, delete. You guys can go through this, and it's gonna be quite interesting. But yeah, I think that's the controllers. We have the models covered. These we have covered the auth. These are all the errors that we get. The async errors we get what is it, yeah, these are like all the errors that I'm talking about. If you want to handle a specific error, for example, let's say MongoDB gives you a specific error, and you want to send a very very good message. You can like check if the error equals to this, then you can just like you can write a message what you to return. That's what I did. So that's like what it handles, and this is like the cache async errors, and that's fine. For those who are going to be following along, I've been having troubles, guys. Those who are going to be using this as their source code or something like that, I don't know. I just want to show you this. I'm going to probably fix it, but there are certain types that I just couldn't figure them out. And I'm still trying to work my way through Typescript. But for instance, let's say so I try by all means to make sure that everything is type safety and all of that. But sometimes, let me look for that actually. I think it's actually on the async. Yeah, I think it's actually on the async. Is it here? Yeah, you see. yeah, it's this. So these types here will be commented below. So anything, yeah, I think yeah, it was this one. So this will be commented below. So just to say that I did not provide a type for this. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that was the only one. But for everything, I think inside here, all everything that is inside here, I make sure that I provide all the types for each and every component inside here. So just to make sure of that. So because of this, it will be open source. If you guys see maybe something that you think have been done correctly, you can like make a pull request. Then I'll just change it as requested. So we have these API features and all of that. But yeah, that's what it is to this backend. Now I just want to get into the Flutter mode. Um, there's quite a lot of stuff inside here. I don't know if you guys know Flutter, but before we get into it, let me just this is our folder structure. So inside here we have these const. So you can think of these consts as where we kind of like store our constant variables that we can reuse across our widgets. Then we have this API const, which is storing our API address or whatever the host is. Like that's where we're gonna pass it in. So yeah, that's another thing. Then we have the models. The models you can think of it as like it try to keep track of like the type, the values that will be returned, the values that can be null from the API. So let's say our API, for instance, let me show you the API here returns this. We're gonna tell Flutter that these are the things that will be returned, and this is gonna be an ID. This is gonna be a name. Image is gonna be a list. Flutter has to know about this. So this model here, if we go to category, that's the purpose. That's what it does. And we tell it that these can be nulls, they can be returned, they cannot be returned. If something has to be returned, we can just give it, say, it has to be returned. And that way Flutter will know that okay, this has to be returned. Then if it's not returned, it's going to give an error. So this is very beautiful, by the way, because if you're coming from a dynamic type language, then such benefits you might not even get. But with Dart, which is a static type language, so it's safe type. So essentially, it allows you to write a very safe code. So this way you get to write a very much more robust code. It's very hard to make a mistake. Like I said, I can't just come up with a variable and just try to access it. It's gonna complain. It's gonna tell me, no, this does not exist. You did not define this in the model, or your API does not give you this. So that's what this does. And as you can see here, these are all the things that the category API returns, and we just need to make sure that we register them with Flutter. We're doing this across all this stuff, including the registration. The registration give us the success user token, right? All of the stuff that are inside here, they're gonna be stored. They're gonna be registered in this Flutter. Then we have this, just to link what I'm saying with the code. If we go back to the API handler, you will see that we have these APIs that we call. So this code here allows us to call APIs. So we pass like specific parameters. We tell Flutter these are required and stuff like that. But the good thing here is that we're linking whatever we get from the API with the model that we just designed here. So this way, we can actually be able to access anything that is returned here in a much more safe way. So that's the good thing about this. Because now we tell Flutter this is going to be this type of this type and all of that stuff. But anyway, let me continue. We make an API request to the API. We make an API request to our API here. So the base URL is being hidden because we don't want that people to know that, right? That's why here we hide it, including the pod. So that's why we hide it inside there. We have these headers. So these headers is part of the API request. Then we have the body. So when the user registers, they take the name, password, and all of that. Then we're gonna register them. So if this is not 200, we're just gonna throw in an error message that is coming from our backend. So that's what this does here. Okay, and then we have you see here that the results that we return, the data that we return, we call this from JSON. So this is to tell that, this is to tell Flutter that this is the expected data, right? And now, because of this, if we go to our registration screen, now I'm gonna open the registration screen or the sign up screen. It doesn't matter. But if I go to the sign up screen, you will see that now I can actually be able to access those parameters of the instance. Um, where is this? So this is like the controller. So you can tell that here I'm just gonna set whatever the user has typed to this email. I'm gonna set whatever the user has typed to this name. If I just remove the text, it's just gonna complain that out away. You see, it tells me this has to be a string. So that's why I'm saying it just makes it hard to make a mistake. If I pass one here, it's gonna complain because it's expecting a string. So that's what this does. So here I'm just passing whatever the user has typed to this here. Okay. So then after they have passed this, because I want to register them, I store their token. Yes, I store their token called JWT, right, within this from this registration model, because we know this. I can't just write something like here, I can't write something like API. It will complain. Why? Because of we did not register that in this registration model. It's expecting, it's saying that I'm gonna return this. These are the things that I should be returning, right? So let me see, where is it? Yes, these are the things that I should be returning, token. So yeah, that's why here we can actually access the token like so. Right? So it makes it very, very beautiful to work with, and I really like it. So anyway, we call this we make this register user, which is going to return a void because we're just handling everything inside this. Then we set the user success to that. So this is the registration code, by the way. Um, um, there's quite a lot of things, but I feel like a lot of things inside here are quite repetitive. Like for example, with this const body and we press body and we have this text input field and we pass this user controller, whatever the text, the user type is going to be stored inside here. So that's what it is to this, right? So I'll let you go through the code, but I don't think like it's worth it like going through line by line here because I feel like these stuff are quite repetitive, like as you can see. Yeah, we have enter your password. We have this inquel because this is where we wanna register. We wanna link the user to. So if it's success, if we can check here, what we do is that after we log in the user, we've stored their storage, we've stored their token. We wanna set the success to whatever the success is. We know that for us to get a token, we have success status. So that's why here success is gonna be true. And now, when success, we're gonna navigate them to the home page. So that's what this gonna do, right? Then what's here? Yeah, this is what it is to this. Then we have these containers for register is a button that is going to gonna click. Then yes, these are all those error messages that you saw. Please fill all input. So if it's not validated, if it's success is false or is error, we're just gonna show this. That's something that we show. But yeah, as you can see that like it's I know that some of you might, if you have never worked with Flutter, this code might look incredibly scary or anything like that. Flutter, when I started with Flutter, like it can look quite difficult, but like when you get like the philosophy of it, like it becomes really, really enjoyable. I enjoy coding with building Flutter apps because I feel like it can really, really get enjoyable. Right? I'm not a mobile developer, but just for fun, I just like to build this stuff. But Flutter is definitely enjoyable because it just you when you get the philosophy, you can just build mobile app, I think. But when you start, I feel like there's a hill, especially if you're coming from the uh, TypeScript Next.js world, there's going to be this hill. But after you've passed that hill, everything will be quite simple and you'll understand like most of the philosophies. I'll link the YouTube channel to some of the best YouTubers that you can kind of like go through for now and then Flutter also. Um, But yeah, I think that's that, guys. Like here, I'm just following the widgets. We have this home screen. If you guys want to go through this, yeah, I'll link some of the scripts. All of the stuff will be uploaded. But yeah, I think that's all, guys. I really appreciate it. See you guys in the next one. By the way, before I go, I just want to say that I don't know if you guys want me to code this stuff from scratch, or you just want me to share these project like on GitHub and that's it, because that's what I'm currently doing. So I feel like that way. That's because of I want to produce this project like every week. So if like you guys want me to code them from scratch and record the process, then it might take me like a week or so, might 2 weeks or so. So it depends on what you guys want. So that'll be fine with me then. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks. Bye.